I think they're sitting with 5 or 6 clients now across Kigali as a city, and they're looking at expanding outside of Kigali. And so when you have the right structure and the right government, just sitting behind you and driving this, because programming plays a critical role in the success of it. And sometimes it's not easy to find $4 or $5 million to bring major act into the market. And so having a government that is willing to participate in that and bring the right talent and bring the right teams into the space, it ultimately unlocks what you're seeing behind me, which is, all the different sectors that an arena touches, some of which, you look at and you think, how the hell does an arena have an impact on that? But it's so diverse because you're bringing multiple events into the space. And so that for us, when we look at it in terms of PPP, we ultimately go out into the continent and sell to governments that structuring this thing the right way, having a long-term view on what it looks like, so that we don't end up with white elephants, means that we unlock an entire industry that has a significant impact on the entire ecosystem. Another set of data that we worked on, because we encourage governments to build arenas. It's $100 million plus generally to build a really well-spec'd arena. And it's hard for governments to pull that sort of money out, and so we ran a study in Kigali just saying, what is the economic impact of having an arena set up in the city? And ran studies very basic across, just spend at hotels, spend in terms of transport companies, spend in our own arena. We worked with the government on understanding spend in some of the restaurants. Over a 3-year period, we had an economic impact of $16 million, right? And so if you take that in terms of the development cost, you've already covered 60% of your arena cost. And that dynamic going into countries is really getting people to think, well, I can spend $100 million and unlock an entire ecosystem that brings significant revenues to our country. So it's a very, very exciting time for us to be able to sit with this data and speak to it, because it then unlocks an entire ecosystem of real estate that is possible. Hotels, offices, residential, all these different components come alive.
Okay, so you've got the sports stadium. Let's say it's a 40,000 seater. Okay, that's government owned. So let's just go left brain here and get into the technicalities behind it. How do you yourselves? Because I'm assuming there's going to be a plot of land where the stadium sits. You guys have a link with a closed arena of 10,000 seats next to that stadium, as it is in Kigali, right? Where I think you've got NBA there as an example. Then you've got the hotel, you've got some retail. How does that ownership structure look like with the real estate that you bring into it? And is the value, the local entrepreneurship is phenomenal. I suppose my question is, the real estate around the arena that you unlock, is that the play for you guys long term? Just to understand how that structure looks like, because I'm assuming the sports arena will remain government owned, but everything else that sits around that, which is what you're actually unlocking, how do you guys see that real estate play?
Yeah, we try our best to fly under the radar, because the minute the word gets out there that an arena is going up or anything of that sort, the price skyrockets. I think for us, it's really trying to get in on the front end with governments, participate in the planning, understand what that dynamic looks like. And from there, we can curate on the front end, around where do we bring Zaria Court into the fold? How do we take advantage of the real estate around it? Because it's very, very important to curate exactly what is established, what that flow looks like. Because a lot of the times what happens is, a government will go and build an arena or a stadium, and there's not much thought around that surrounding real estate. And so you don't have a well-curated setup that allows for flow or allows for traffic. And that then becomes a sort of a dead end in terms of maximizing the impact. I'm not saying that we have got it 100% right. We've seen a lot of buildings go up. We're not participating in every single building, but this is what we're putting out to the governments at the moment, and trying our best to get into that discussion as early as possible.
So I think Andrew is based out of the States, so this is a concept that's worked in the States. Comes with a lot of experience. Obviously, a number of banks here. Are they easily opening up their checkbooks?
Yeah, that's the difficult one. I think you 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 can't blame the banks. We have a lot of white elephants sitting out there. We have a lot of issues around the sporting ecosystem. Um, we have been very lucky in engaging with banks that have been willing to listen. There is just this general sort of excitement around sports and entertainment. Our capital partner is Helios out of the UK, just raised $50 million from IFC and Paco. And that sort of communication going into the world is driving confidence, is getting people to look at what we're doing and ask the right questions. So it's not easy. I will be honest, but we're at least having the right conversations. And with the efforts that we're doing in pulling out the data and showcasing what is possible, if we look at Kigali as an example, our Zaria Court project, we raised $13 million in debt from local bank. And that was a huge plus for us, being able to justify that based on the data that we had around events that are happening in the space. We ran our feasibility with BDO. They gave us a bump on our occupancy for the hotel, and that's because of the proximity to the hotel. It's because of the programming that we bring to the arena. So it's a work in progress, and I think Kigali as our model is really helping us tell the story and get people more comfortable with writing or opening their checkbooks, as you said.
So if we go to the management side of it, you've got multiple arenas, you've got the hotel, you've got the retail. I mean, how easy is it to host different events? Because you've also got the open air arena in Kigali, right? So you've effectively got the stadium, closed arena, open air arena, and then everything else. I mean, the hotel there could also probably host some functions. Yeah. Can you do it at the same time? I mean, is it manageable?
Yeah, we've done it. We've done it multiple times. The stadium, we did a refurbishment with the government from 28,000 to 45,000 seats. That launched last year, July, August. I mean, we've done probably 6 or 7 full stadium, 45,000 full capacity. And on 3 of those occasions, we've had the entire sports city come to life. Our venue, Zaria Court, has got a 2,000 capacity space. We also have a smaller arena, which has got 1,500. The stadium, which is 45,000 seats, and then the large arena, which is 10,000 seats. And we have had scenarios where there's been events in every single venue. And it's been an interesting challenge for us, having that amount of people sort of converge at once. Not only are you doing the venue management, but you're also controlling the traffic, that's around it. But that's ultimately what we signed up for, and the possibilities are there. It's great data for us to extract. I was looking at the guys outside MRI and saying, these are the sort of products that we want to start integrating because it just firms up a lot of what we're doing. It helps us tell the story of showcasing what type of people are coming into the space, what the spending power is like, what's the sort of flow of people in the different spaces, and using that to be able to go sit in front of the banks and showcase a sure deal. We don't have the benefit of anchor tenants. We don't have the benefit or anything of that sort. In the US, you got NBA teams that can give you 85 events in a year as your base, right? And so for us, it's a data game. It's a people game. Our currency is people. Is how many people can we get through the door and justify exactly how much these guys are spending.
Open the floor to some questions. I see a couple of architects and some brands in here, so I want to make it easy for them. Yeah. They're going to speak to you afterwards. Where is the next locations?
Yeah, so we got a 5-market strategy. Kenya is next on our list. We want to. It's an easy move for us from Rwanda. We want to go into a big market. We've got data from Rwanda. Going into a big market gives us the opportunity to look at what data we can pull from big markets. South Africa and Nigeria is critical for us. And then we've got what we would consider, sort of secondary markets. Abidjan, Senegal is critical for us. And so, yeah, that's what we're looking at this point in time.
I think we're going to start wrapping it up soon, but if you had to have the ideal scenario, Kigali was an existing build. Would your choice be going into, let's say, Morocco now? 2030 World Cup's coming up. They've got the African Cup of Nations as well. Would you go to the government and say, look, our ideal situation is to assist you with the design and build of a new stadium? Or would you look at an existing stadium? I mean, where do you see the better synergies? Because obviously the value in unlocking something that's existing for a government, I would imagine, is preferable. But you probably, from a perfect design scenario, would want a new build. I mean, how do you balance that and what's your preference?
Yeah, honestly, new build would be preferable. We can really get into the overall design of it. But what we do see with the continent is the existing infrastructure, 9 times out of 10, is in the middle of the city. And that for us is critical because we can put our infrastructure where the people are. But outside of new or old, I think the critical component for us is ability to program and having some sort of programming. The building can be 200 years old, but if you got the right programming, everything unlocks.
Yeah. So that's an interesting concept. Now, you spoke about the unlocking of it. You've spoken now that it's in the middle of the city. So what have you seen in Kigali in terms of around the stadium, unlocking further developments around the stadium? Because I would assume now that that's being unlocked, firstly, there's job creation, there's local entrepreneurship. What are you seeing with the real estate around that? Are there retail vendors now coming up? Are you seeing residential developments?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah, in the 4 years that we've been developing Zaria Court, I've literally been counting the developments going up on the sidelines of the sports city. We of course, from a sports city standpoint, have the live, work, play model. So we have a lot of plans of, residential, office spacing as that sports city comes alive. But everybody who's got land adjacent to us is building. We probably got 6 or 7 buildings that are actively going up at the moment, mainly around the residential, short-term residential. Some office spacing going up, but the guys are busy. And the nice thing is everyone's coming to us, asking us, what can we do, and what makes sense, and can we partner with you? And so it's really, the model is coming to life, which is a great thing.
Good. Thanks for that, Carl. I think it's a great conversation, and hopefully everyone flocks towards you afterwards. Yeah. I think we've run out of time, but yeah, thank you. Very interesting conversation.
Amazing. Thank you. Cheers.